Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We have Naomi Osaka versus Amanda Anisimova for the 2025 US Open semi-final. Cannot wait to get into this one. Two very exciting, hard-hitting players that will be contesting a place in the final, of course. Naomi Osaka, she is down in the head-to-head, 2-0. Amanda Anisimova beat her twice in 2022. We'll get into that, of course, in a second. We'll also get into their route to the semi-finals, how they've been looking. I'll talk about it tactically and then ultimately give you guys my prediction. Before we do get into it though, of course, do hit that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. And of course, more importantly, leave your winner in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to win this one and in how many sets? If you want to be even more specific, you can give a set score as well. So let's get into this one then. So as I mentioned, the head-to-head is 2-0 or 2-love in favor of Amanda Anisimova. They played twice, once on hard court, once on clay, both at Grand Slams. So Amanda beat Asaka in 3 sets at the Australian Open 4-6, 6-3, 7-6. Asaka had a match point as well in that match and in the 3rd set. So really good recovery from Anisimova, and then to take it to a tiebreaker and win 10-5 in the tiebreaker was really impressive. And then Anisimova beat Asaka in straight sets, 7-5, 6-4 at Roland Garros. So can we take much from that? Well, we can take a little bit from it. I did watch them back actually, and there are some things that we can take from it, but what I would say is that I would almost argue that Asaka's moving, I think she's moving just as well. You could argue she's moving even better. It'd be great to see the stats behind that. I don't have that available, but if I did, it would be great to understand whether she is moving better than before. For Amanda, of course, she's having a career best season. She's playing some really good tennis, but back then in 2022, she was playing some very fearless tennis, I think it would be fair to say. And I think nowadays she still is very aggressive, but a lot more calculated in a positive way, I would say as well. So that means that Asaka might not necessarily get blown away with a first shot, for example, from Anisimova. It might take 2 or 3 because I feel like Amanda tries to hit bigger targets nowadays, and she's a lot more calculated in her aggression, which is what she should be, to be honest, because otherwise it becomes a super high risk game, which means a lot of errors, and it's very hard to win multiple matches against top players playing that way. So let's talk about their route to the semi-finals. So Osaka's looked impressive, beat Minen, Baptiste in straight sets. Then Kasatkina came through in 3 sets. And then beat Coco Gauff, the 2023 champion, in straight sets. What a win that was, 6-3, 6-2. And they then beat Karolina Muchova, 6-4, 7-6. Really impressive win there as well. Muchova playing some really good tennis. She's made back-to-back semi-finals here in the past 2 years at the US Open. So clearly loves it here in New York. Anisimova beat Burrell joint in straight sets, then Christian in 3, Haddad Mayer in straights, and then Swiatek in straight sets. What an impressive performance that was. Won 71% of her first serve points, won 56% behind her second serve points, and then won 63% of second serve return points. So clearly going after the Swiatek second serve, and it worked. And that's been a theme in a lot of matches that Anisimova's had against opponents. Haddad Mayer, for example, only won 33% of her second serve points as well. So Anisimova being very aggressive off the second serve, and you would expect her to, because she's got a very potent, well, she's a very big hitter from not just the back of the court return, and her serve's big, but I think on return, the reason why she should be very proactive, especially on second serve return, is because naturally she doesn't have a very big backswing. She doesn't take huge cuts of the ball, especially on the backhand wing. So it does mean that she is a very natural timer of the ball. It means she can redirect and generate a lot of power with a short backswing, not have to wait for the ball to drop. And so it means that she's able to step inside the baseline quite comfortably and take that ball on the rise. And that was really impressive against Świątek, and at times, because Świątek has a pretty big kick serve, she would give herself some space and she would adjust and adapt and realize, okay, fine, I've got enough firepower that I don't need to stand 1 meter inside the baseline. But against players with weaker second serves or serves that weren't kicking up as much, she would then come forward. So adjusting that position, very intelligent and clearly the right move. For Asaka, she has been very good, especially on serve, very potent in her first serve points, winning 94% of first serve points against Goff, 75% against Mokova, 74% against Kasatkina, 69% against Baptiste. So yeah, we're talking about some good numbers here. I think she'll need to continue to serve well. Just looking at the first serves made against Mokova, 65%. Okay, so that's pretty solid because she was down at 42%, I think it was, 42% against Goff, which is way too low. If she does that against Anisimova, she's going to be in trouble because the second serve is not going to cut it. If not for, not for more than, I would say, 65%, I feel like is almost the minimum that Asaka needs to hit on her first serve, even because Anisimova is going to be super aggressive, and Asaka, yes, she's moving well, but she's still not defensively a Coco Gauff or a Świątek. So she is going to have to be quite proactive in the points, and she's going to win points by either making them short or at least being on the front foot after 2 or 3 shots within that rally. And that means serve return +1 is going to be really big for Asaka, and she did that against Goff. She'll need to do it here against Anisimova. Anisimova, she also relies quite heavily on serve +1. And both players have noticed, I think in their games, especially during this tournament, Asaka mentioned that they're able to rally from the back of the court as well. And yes, generally their rally ball is going to be heavy still anyway, and they can hit with depth or find angles when the moment arises. I do wonder whether we might see some really explosive backhand to backhand exchanges, and then it becomes who goes line first. And Anisimova arguably has one of the best backhand lines on tour, and that could really hurt Asaka running into that forehand corner. Though Asaka does have a pretty good whipped forehand cross court and can find some good angles when she's on the run, but Anisimova normally hits it so clean, it's very tough to even get a racket on it. For Asaka, I think she needs to try and dominate the forehand to forehand. That's quite important. She finds really good angles, can drag Anisimova out and then use the open court to her advantage to hit hard into a big target. Anisimova did venture forward a little bit against Świątek. I don't think that's a bad ploy against Asaka to try and change it up and vary it. She was also utilizing the slice at times. And I actually think against Asaka, who can play, let's be honest, she plays a little bit one-paced, but it's an extremely high quality one pace. And what it means is that if you come up against someone with a lot of variety, at times it can be disruptive. But what I will say, I was watching her against Mokova, and she was dealing with Mokova's slice pretty well. At times, especially on the backhand, when she gets low, she generates a lot of racket head speed with not a lot of backswing. So I wonder how effective that would be from Amanda, but I think it's definitely a tactic worth exploring in Asaka. It could end up just being a hitting match or a shootout is probably the right phrase for it, because both players can hit so big. And sometimes I remember Anisimova saying after her Wimbledon win against Sabalenka that when you come up against someone who hits as big as Sabalenka, who's as powerful as Sabalenka, and you yourself have that type of power, it almost becomes, I wouldn't say it's an ego contest, but it becomes a hitting contest, because you want to be the one who proves that you have the bigger game, right? Literally the bigger game. And so she says it becomes really fun. It's very fast paced, but it does become a little bit of a shootout. And I wonder whether Asaka will get involved in that, or whether she'll try and avoid it. We'll see. My prediction is going to go against the grain, because I think the safe pick would be Anisimova. She's playing the best tennis of her career. She has a 2-0 head-to-head against Asaka, and Yes, it was 3 years ago, but you know, Osaka was playing, you know, we forget she won a Grand Slam in 2021. At the Australian Open for 2022, she would have been one of the favourites, if not the favourite. So that especially was a very good win. Asaka is playing some really good tennis, and history would tell you that she will win this slam because every time she's made it past the fourth round of a slam, she's gone on to win it. But you know, history is there to be broken, records are there to be broken. So I will say Asaka in 3 sets. That's my feeling. I could be wrong. Let's see. Comment below who you think is going to win and why. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and we'll see you in the next video.